Welcome, James the Finance Guy here. Today we're going to do a practical example of financial planning with my friend Spoo. The idea of today is going to be to summarize the 4 or 5 key lessons that I've been doing over the last couple of videos in my series. Alright, so we're going to start with a few basic foundation questions to establish what your financial overview looks like, and we can get into it like that. So first starting question, Spoo, how old are you? What do you do?
Oh, I'm 30 years old. I do marketing.
Okay, so you employed? Okay, are you married? Do you have children?
No, I'm not married. I don't have children.
All right.
I'm not employed per se, but under contract.
Contract, okay.
Yes.
And then tell me, what is your average monthly salary? How much do you earn?
It varies. It depends on the project that I do.
So how much would you say you earn on average per month gross before taxes?
Would be 8.
Okay. All right. And then tell me, at work, do you contribute to any kind of pension fund or retirement funding?
Not per se, but I do quite of savings for myself in case something goes down. We need to have savings and investment on the side.
How much have you got saved up now?
Should I reveal that?
Yeah, so the plan is, the idea is that we're going to do an example so that I can go through a plan for you.
Okay, and my savings is just around about 27 the last time I checked.
All right.
And under my fixed fee investment, it has grown to 35 now.
All right. And the savings, is it just money in the bank?
Both are on the fixed savings.
Fixed deposit?
Yeah, okay. Monthly.
Okay, and what roughly interest rates are you getting on that?
Not much.
Probably around about 6 to 8%.
Yeah,
That's the average. Have you got any debt? Do you owe the bank, or do you owe anyone anything?
As young as we are, you can try to run away from debt, but eventually
sometimes you need it.
Yeah, unforeseen circumstances, I did ask for a loan.
Unsecured loan?
Yeah.
How much is that?
It was a 10 grand because I needed to fix something at home.
10 grand, and you're busy paying that off?
Yeah, I'm paying it off.
What interest rate are you paying on that? Do you know?
They say it's 3 point something.
Percent?
It's 3, not percent. 30.
30.
Yeah, it's 30, yes.
Per month?
Per month. Okay. So, and it affects my savings and investments because now they're stuck. I'm no more putting money on the side because I need to finish this.
Are you responsible for other family members?
Yeah.
Okay. Plus minus how many?
I would say, because I need to split my income in 2 families, in
so
Joburg.
How many? More than 10 people?
No, not more than 10. Only just 4 people.
Okay. Anything else that we need to add on there?
No, I'm renting a room, yeah.
And you don't have houses that you rent into other people?
Not.
Okay. All right. So that's all your assets, liabilities.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. So this is a nice sort of summary of what information I would gather initially. So let's start with some basics of how we're going to get to where you need to go. So of your salary, of the 8,000 coming in, after your monthly budget, after your expenses, how much have you got space to save?
Realistic, it can be 1 grand.
Okay.
Realistic.
So 1 grand there. And then these fixed deposits, you say it's month to month?
Yeah, but it must be a 30-day
30-day
notice, yes.
This is quite a high priority concern.
Yeah.
And what I'd say to get you back on track and to free up some of your cash flow, because how much are you putting into this every month, this debt? How much does it cost you?
They're taking 850.
850 rand.
Yeah, the initial amount was less than that.
So what I'm going to suggest for this 10K is that we use some of the savings to pay off the debt, because this interest rate over here is very scary. It's going to cost you extreme a lot of money. So if you work out the maths, how much you owe is going to double at least every 3 months at that interest rate. So if we can just take some of the cash that you've got saved up, pay off that debt, then we can wipe out this loan altogether.
Okay.
Then you'll only have 17,000 Rand left.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you some suggestions of what to do there. First and foremost, of this 1K that you have available to save, I'm going to say at your age, it's very important that we start a retirement annuity. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do there for you is take 500 Rand a month and put it into an RA. It seems like a small amount, but it's going to build up your habit of saving. The idea of a retirement annuity is that you contribute into it, you get a nice tax deduction on your taxes every year, and it stays in there till the age of 55. So you're not allowed to access it, but then when you're 55, it basically becomes a pension for you, and you can earn an income from it, which is going to help you when you're older one day.
Okay.
So you don't have to take it out at 55, but that's the earliest you can access it.
Okay.
So whatever you put in there, it's going to be locked in there long term. No one can touch it. Creditors cannot take it from you. No, your family cannot take it from you. No one can take that money away from you. It's yours forever. So that's very important to start saving for that. Okay. Because the earlier we start building it up, compound growth is going to allow us to get the investment returns quite high. The way I suggest we invest this is as aggressive as possible for your age. Because even till 55, that's still another 25 years from now. So I'm going to suggest we go for a high growth investments underneath. Okay. So the retirement annuity is going to be the structure, and within it, we're going to invest it high growth, which means lots of equity, 75%.
Okay.
So the growth is going to be a little bit volatile like that over time, but it's going to give you some nice growth. Okay. The next thing I'm going to suggest for you is to open a tax-free savings for another 500 Rand a month. So that's going to be your full 1,000 taken care of over there.
Okay.
And that's going to be your tax-free. Okay. So tax-free, maximum contribution is 33,000 Rand a year. How the tax-free savings account works is you can put all your money in, but there's no restrictions. It's completely flexible. So whatever you put in, you can take out again anytime. Okay. The advantage, however, is that you don't pay any tax on the interest. You don't pay any capital gains tax when you cash it out. You don't pay any dividends tax. So it's a nice tax-free structure without the restrictions of something like a retirement annuity. So I would say almost the first 30,000 Rand per year that you have available to invest after your retirement annuity, stick it into a tax-free.
I'm planning something back home that I need to build. So hence I've saved up to this amount.
Okay.
So I want to know, what risk am I taking by me taking out this money from the bank to the actual tax-free?
Tax-free.
Yeah.
So the tax-free is just the structure. How we decide to invest the money within the structure is your option. So we've got a number of different options. We can go very conservative, the same as the bank, your money is guaranteed, or we can go very aggressive, where it's going to go up and down, and it might be lower one year, higher the next year. So the way to determine the best option is to say, how many years do you still want to save for?
Regarding what I was planning, I was just looking for a 2 year.
Anything less than 1 year, I would keep it in pure cash, something just like the bank.
Okay.
2 to 3 years, I would suggest something like a conservative portfolio. Conservative, okay? So conservative, the growth on that looks something like this. It's nice and stable over time. So whereas with the high growth, it could be down over 1 year or more. The conservative, it goes up and down, but there's no one point where you're going to lose a substantial amount of money.
Okay.
And that's going to grow steadily over time. So with a conservative portfolio, it's perfect for something like 2 to 3 years. What makes it conservative is that the equity component is only going to be probably about 20 to 30% equity. Whereas with the retirement annuity, it was more, it was 75%. So the amount of equity determines how risky it is. So we're going to go very low equity there.
Okay.
But over 3 years, this should do better than what you're getting at the bank. It's going to give you more growth than 6 to 8%.
Okay.
All right.
So my concern is regarding the loan that I was actually being paying. So what's going to happen to my actual 850 since I'm going to be taking a portion from my savings to pay off this debt?
So what happens with contributions to a loan? A portion of it is always going to be for the capital, how much the actual loan is worth, and a portion of it is always going to be the interest.
Okay.
So at 30%, probably quite a large portion of that is going to be just for the interest by itself. So what you'll find is if you owe 10,000 before your contribution and you've now paid 850, that 10,000 might have come down to 9,500. So when you pay it off with money from the bank, you might only need to pay 9,500 after your latest contribution.
Okay.
My concern is that difference, that 350 Rand, that's just interest in this example, is money that you could be saving rather. And by using this capital to pay it off, you're not going to be able to earn 350 Rand per month on 10,000 Rand at bank interest rates. So rather take that, pay off the interest, and you're going to save yourself 350 Rand every month. So that's quite important. Then you can even add more to your tax-free savings or more to your other investments. I've got a good idea. I'm going to say our last box here of a structure that we're going to invest in is just a normal investment account. All right. A normal investment account means there's no restrictions. There's no minimum or maximum amount that you can put in each year. It's completely flexible. You can think of it as basically just a bank account. Whatever you put in, you can take out again. It's as simple as that. You do pay, however, tax on any of the interest, capital gains, and dividends tax. So what I'm going to suggest is we're going to put your project financing short term into the investment account. The medium term savings is going to be in the tax-free, and your long term savings is going to be in the retirement annuity. So to reconfirm, that's what you can save per month. I suggest we split it up into a retirement annuity, 500 Rand a month, and a tax-free 500 Rand a month. Then we're going to have a lump sum available to put into a normal investment account. This is long-term, medium-term, short-term. Long-term means it's going to be high equity. So 75% equity, and it's going to grow nice and aggressively over time like that. The tax-free savings, what I'm going to suggest for that, because there's no restriction with regards to how you're allowed to invest the money, I say we go maximum aggressive. It's going to be long-term over 10 years, and we're going to make it pure equity, 100%. And of half of that equity, we're actually going to make offshore. So you get some nice offshore growth there as well. That means overseas investing as well, global investing. This one is going to be very volatile. So it's going to be like that. But it'll give you better growth than any of the other investments over the next 10 years. With your investment account, nice and conservative, 20 to 30% equity only. So that's going to be nice and stable, something like that. So that's the idea there. And the reason for that is with your investment account, you might need it in quite a short period of time. So we don't want it to be too aggressive. The tax-free you're going to leave for a long time, and there's no restrictions with regards to how to invest it. So we can go as aggressive as we want. Some years you will lose a bit of money, but long term it's going to do very well. With the retirement annuity, there are restrictions within retirement annuities of how aggressive you're allowed to invest the money. You can't go more than 75% equity. So we're just going to keep you at that maximum level to get as much growth as you can for that. Of the capital you have available here, how much of that do you want to put towards your project, and how much do you want to leave as an emergency buffer in case something happens?
Good months, but
if you leave 10,000 Rand in the bank, is that going to be enough to handle most situations, or would you need a little bit more?
Yeah, you can manage, because that's the actual amount that they ask for from the loan.
All right, so let's leave 10,000 in the bank.
So I can still split this 10,000 back to these two.
Yeah, if you want to. absolutely. Just make sure that it's liquid. You can access the money. So I would suggest don't go for a fixed deposit. You're going to get enough growth from how we invest these. Just keep it in your normal bank account that you can access it quickly. If you can swipe a card and you can get the money. That one is going to be zero equity. And that means the money is just going to be nice and stable like that, with a little bit of interest.
So according to you, your equity would be advisable for me to take that amount out and put it in the normal account.
Yes, and the reason for that is that this is going to be, retirement annuity is 25 years plus, the tax-free savings is 10 years plus, the investment account is 2 to 3 years. The bank is immediately available. So that establishes our timelines over there. For the investment account, we can expose it to a little bit of equity just to give it a bit more growth than what you can get at the bank. Now we just need to decide how much of your 32,000 that we have left do you want to put to your tax-free for long-term investing for yourself or something in the future, versus how much you want in your investment account, which is going to be for this project you're saving up for in the short term.
I can say I can split to both accounts, maybe 2.5, 2.5, then the rest can come back.
So you want to jumpstart your retirement annuity and tax-free of 2.5 with a 2.5 lump sum each, and then put the rest into your investment account. So this will be 17k, and then here we're going to jumpstart that with 2.5 and 2.5. Okay, how does that as an investment plan look to you?
The more I'm interested is this one. This is the one.
The tax-free.
Yeah, the tax-free one. Because I like the 100% equity and plus offshore. Because I understand the risk of
volatility.
And also the retirement one. It's also okay.
So what's nice with these is you have the monthly debit orders going, but at any time when you have some extra cash saved up, you can top it up. You can add it into the investment. Since
some months are bad, some months are good. So if it happens that I have an extra 10k, you can still split it into these 3 accounts.
Yes, definitely. We can have a cash account for you here where you just deposit whatever you have available and tell us, I want some money in there, some money in there, some money in there. So we can actually split it up for you. Then you can tell us, okay, James, for this month or for the next 6 months, please stop the debit order.
I'm happy to hear that, because my concern was that if ever, because you must be aware that I'm under contract for now. I'm not permanently employed. So there'll be time when I need to stop. So I want to know their terms.
These days, there's no requirement once you sign something to be locked into any kind of contract where you have to now contribute, and then there'll be penalties if you stop paying. That doesn't exist anymore. The reason why it was very prevalent back in the day is because advisors would earn commission for signing you up for something. So they'll start with a small debit order, which is easy to pay, but locked into that debit order with some kind of commission and incentives. And as soon as you stop paying, then the insurance company selling that product has to claw back the commission. And how they would do it is by penalizing you to try and stop you. So the way we do it here, there's no upfront commissions. I'm going to structure this from a fee perspective as follows. 0% upfront, okay? No commission. And the only thing I'm going to charge you is 1% per annum of the value of whatever you have invested. And that's going to be the only advice fee. So my earnings from this will be 1% of the total amount invested.
Okay, so since for example I put 10 grand for yearly, so how it's gonna be my equity will be affected, or still 100% equity offshore, 75% equity of my retirement?
Absolutely. So whatever you put in there, the underlying investment won't change. It doesn't depend on how much money you put in. And how we're going to achieve that is by putting these into unit trusts. So unit trust means it's lots of people's money put together, and you're going to own a small portion of that unit trust. And you can buy as much or as little as you want from that unit trust. So that means that you don't need 100,000 Rand in order to buy those equities. You can start with 500 Rand. So you're going to have 500 Rand worth of a fund that is 100% equity with half of it offshore. It's completely flexible. So think of these as different bank accounts where you can just deposit money into, and you can actually get money out of all of these three. The retirement annuity one that's got extra restrictions, but the restrictions are only on what you can get out, not what you can put in. The only restriction on putting money into a retirement annuity is how much of it is going to give you a tax advantage. But you can put up to 350,000 Rand into your retirement annuity, or 27.5% of whatever you earn per year into an RA, and that will still be tax deductible. Even if you contribute more than that, you can do that. You just won't get your tax deduction this year. It will roll over and you'll only get your tax deduction later. So that's going to be a high growth unit trust. That's going to be an aggressive growth unit trust, conservative growth, and that's just going to be cash. So those would be classified as the funds that we're going to invest into. These are the structures, and this is the financial planning aspect of how do we set up the plan, what information went into creating that plan, and this last bit over here is how the advisor earns their money, how I'm going to be able to do the work for you. All right, sounds like a plan. Happy?
Happy.
Okay.
Thank you for that. So, the interest rate, because of what our country is facing, it went up. So I couldn't get the actual fixed in interest rate because it went down to the actual amount that was supposed to be. So our economy affects that regarding savings and investments. So time and again, you are not constant to what you're trying to save and invest.
Okay.